Today I want to talk about true well-being. Let's start by explaining what I mean by true well-being rather than just well-being without the word true in front of it. I think most of us are used to the very common approach to well-being today, which is generally a set of habits and things that we need to do, actions, usually every day, that support our well-being. And typically that's things that we're all familiar with. It's eating a good diet, it's exercising regularly, it's taking care of our body, it's doing meditation. It might be taking a whole lot of supplements or other additional things on top of normal good food. And then there may be other things as well that are important for you. It might be that you do affirmations. It might be that you're working on your mindset to be more positive. There are a whole lot of other things that all sit under the bracket of well-being. And this is an interesting thing because it seems like it's become a kind of chase for well-being, a hunt for well-being, let's say. It's like, I don't know if you experience this, but it can really feel like there are all these things that I need to do and I need to keep them up every single day, and it becomes part of almost detracting from my well-being because there's so much pressure to take care of my well-being. The other thing that can happen is that there are lots of activities in there that end up being quite forceful. And there's a real difficulty when we force anything, because when we create force in our life, there is always a force, there's a counter force, if you like, or a force that comes in the opposite direction. That's just part of the nature of force in the world of energy. So if we're very forceful about our well-being, and we can get very forceful because we feel like it's so important to take care of it, we actually start to create a counter force, something that works against us. And so that can end up feeling very challenging, actually. It's like you're fighting yourself in order to support and maintain and improve your well-being. And I'm going to even add a little bit more in here about this sense of fighting yourself, because the other thing we tend to do is we try to fix our well-being using our mind. But most of us are aware that our mind is in many ways the main detractor from our well-being. So it's your mind, for example, that says, oh, I don't really feel like exercising today, or I want to eat this food that I think is not very good for my well-being, but I just enjoy it. It's your mind that says, I'm not even sure that I'm worth the well-being that I want, because look at me, look, I'm useless, or I'm too fat, or I'm too ugly, or I'm too something, whatever it is. I'm not good enough to really deserve this well-being that somewhere inside me I long for. And so we really are fighting against ourselves. And then we try to use this kind of discipline and willpower against ourselves. It's like, I want to control myself. I'm going to dominate myself. I'm going to be a mini tyrant inside me to try to control my well-being, to make it good, to make it how it should be, based on some kind of ideal, very often picked up from adverts and YouTube videos and blogs and all the other things that we're exposed to all the time, often somewhat unconsciously, that make us feel that there's some ideal version of myself, of yourself out there that I should aspire to. And I need to find all the habits and all the actions that I need to do in order to reach this not necessarily impossible, impossible, but not even desirable version of well-being that I've somehow constructed inside my head without really realizing what's going on. I select images from an advert up on the road somewhere, or on the back of a bus, and I put that together with a blog that I read 10 years ago that stuck in my mind, and I put that together with the latest YouTube video that I've watched, and then the little fragments of ads that I've actually switched off, but something penetrated into my mind. Like, these are the influences very often that are forming our well-being, along with the good research that I might have done to find out more about, what actually works. I don't want to say that there's something wrong with all of those activities. It's very clearly a good thing to eat healthy food, to keep your body in good shape and exercise every day. It's really a good thing. Meditation is proven to be a good thing and to create better results. Relaxation, which is what I teach, which is a bit different from meditation, but to me creates even better results. All of these things that we know about do make a difference. But that world that we can end up in of fighting against ourselves for our well-being, I think is very counterproductive. And in the end, what it tends to do is just make you feel that you're constantly failing because you're never actually going to reach that ideal that you subconsciously hold inside your mind, and B, do all the things that you're trying to do and run your business and spend quality time with your family or your friends or whoever it is that you want to spend time with, and all the other things that you really care about as a human being. If your only thing in life is to pay attention to your well-being, maybe you do have time to do all of those things. But if you're doing stuff with your life, and if you have relationships in your life, you need the well-being really to support what you're doing and who you're connecting with, not to be your sole focus. And so what happened to me was that I found it became really important for me to find a much deeper root of well-being. It was like I wanted to go to the source of well-being and know what that is and experience that. And I had this feeling that there was a way of tapping into well-being that could change that impossible dynamic that most people live in. And it happened for me at a time when I was under an extreme amount of business stress. There were things that were extremely difficult for me to deal with, that had to be dealt with, that made me very, very concerned about the business. They were affecting my own health and well-being because I felt like I was caught in a situation I didn't know how to solve it. And the thing is, I already knew a lot about well-being. I'd spent 25 years teaching people about energy, about how to heal any kind of illness, how to heal relationship problems, how to heal financial problems, how to improve their business, how to get more of what they want and less of what they do want. And I've seen people over that 25 years experience massive gains in well-being. So it wasn't like I didn't know a lot. And my husband grows our own food. We eat mostly organic food. We eat really well. We exercise regularly. We were doing a lot of those things that you need to do to maintain well-being. But there can be times in life where there is such a challenge in your life, especially in business or also in relationships that you really care about, that you need something more than whatever you've got. And that was what drove me to look for a different level of well-being or a different access to well-being. And my husband Nico said to me one day, "What is well-being?" And we were sitting down on our bed and I said, "Okay, let's find out." And I started to experience almost immediately a kind of well-being that I had never tapped into before. And it came through saying the words which just came to me: "We are in the well of being." And the minute I heard those words, the well of being, something happened inside me. And I touched into what felt like the ground or the foundation of well-being. And this wasn't a well-being that was only in me, but it was in me. It was really clearly in me and available for me to experience. What I recognized very quickly is that it's also in everything. It's in life itself. It is the well-being of life itself that expresses itself through me and through all of life. And it's something that we can tap into. So I could say I tapped into the source of well-being. It's the place where well-being is always there, is always in me, and is always all around me. It's available for me, and I accessed it through this little combination of words, the well of being. And so we sat and explored that for a little while. And what happened was during the day, I think the next day, I heard the words, just kind of in my mind, saying, the well of being is a source code. It's a source code of well-being. Now, source code is not an expression I'd ever used before. I've actually never really worked with codes particularly and never been interested in them. But I got it. It's like the minute I say the well of being, right now I can feel it. It's like, oh, it touches a place in me, and whatever level of well-being I'm experiencing, it opens up a bit more of it. So I'm actually feeling really well now anyway, but in talking about the well of being, it's kind of like this spreading well-being. It's a beautiful inner experience that I know that I'm able to share with you just by talking about it. And so I started to experiment a little bit, and I started mentioning it to a few people I know who are sensitive and interested in this kind of thing. And I would say, oh yeah, I've been experimenting with the well of being. And I noticed that the minute I said those words, their eyes kind of popped. You know, when people's eyes just kind of go open like this. And what I understand that as is it's like their soul is saying, I want to know more about that. It wasn't their mind that was popping, it was their soul, it was their essence saying, what was that? I like that. I want that. And I saw people literally say, oh, I'm going to take that and use that. I'm going to play with that. It meant something to them. So I recognized that really was operating as a source code. It was tapping people directly into the ground of well-being, the foundation, the place of well-being in life that was in them, and they recognized it immediately. And then what happened to me over the next couple of weeks is that I started to experience some more source codes, and I came up with a collection of 8 of them. Now, they're not the only source codes of well-being, and they're not the only source codes in life. There are endless source codes, and we can have our own personal source codes, and we can also share some common source codes. But that 8 became the foundational source codes for a new system of well-being that I found that I was able to share directly with other people in a way that enabled them to tap into their own well-being more directly, more quickly, and more beautifully, I could say. I often use the words simple, deep, and beautiful. And that's really what it is. It's incredibly simple, it's deep, and it's beautiful. And that's enough. Like, well-being that is simple, deep, and beautiful is true well-being. Now let's go back to the story I told at the beginning about the pressure of the mainstream ways of doing well-being these days, the well-being industry, if you like. And how does this deep well-being connect with all of those habits and actions that we need to take in our life to maintain our daily well-being? The thing that changes when you're able to tap into your true well-being is that you can make choices from there. You don't make choices anymore from a place of there's something wrong with me. There's something that needs to be fixed. I've got to do all of those things to deal with this difficult aspect of my life, which is my well-being. That kind of thinking gradually decreases, it subsides, and it's replaced by a sense of well-being deep inside yourself from where you're able to make decisions. So let's just imagine this. Imagine the difference between, like, I've got to eat organic food because of all the toxins on non-organic food. I don't want those toxins inside my body. They're going to hurt me. They're going to make me sick if I eat too much. I've got to eat more organic food. I've got to exercise every day. I've got to do my strength and my cardio and my yoga and my stretching and whatever. I've got to do it because otherwise, and then there's a kind of gap, something is going to happen that I don't want to happen. Now, that is true if we never exercise and we eat terrible food. Yes, it does make us sick. It does have a detrimental effect on our body. But feel the difference when I make those decisions from well-being. So I'm tapped into the foundation of well-being, the ground of well-being inside me and in all of life. I can feel it. So I feel well in this moment. Even if there are things going on in my life that are not good and that don't feel well, I am well. Right now, I'm feeling it. Maybe you can feel it too as I talk about it. So what if I think now about what am I going to eat today? Of course, if I can eat organic food, I'm going to eat organic food. If I can eat clean, good, healthy food, I'm going to choose that from the pleasure of it, not beating myself to make sure that I do the right thing. It's just the most natural thing in the world for me to do. I'm going to choose, actually what I found gradually, and I really mean gradually, this wasn't overnight, I am tuning into my body much better so that I'm asking my body, what does it need and want and enjoy in order to feel really well and be really well? Because the honest truth is that forcing ourselves to exercise in ways that are very harsh on the body don't necessarily even do us a lot of good. We've grown up and we've been educated into a culture where exercise has become very forceful. And we can see people who exercise to the extreme, it's almost like they start to lose body functionality. I sometimes see men on the beach who are so muscle bound that they actually can't walk properly anymore. And you can see they're proud of what they've built in their body. And look, it's up to them what they do. But as a human being who doesn't, that's not my thing. I want to be able to walk and run and enjoy my body and enjoy the activities I do and feel capable of doing them. And I want my body at the same time to be healthy and able to receive the energy that makes it healthy and keeps it healthy. I don't want it to be so locked up through my discipline and my force and my overdoing of things that I actually close out that energy that makes it healthy and that heals it when it gets sick. And that makes it actually feel not very well because it's constantly having to recover from over-exercising. So I'm not an exercise guru. I don't want to tell you what exercise you should be doing or what food you should be eating. There are plenty of people who can tell you that. But what I do want to show you is that there is a way of doing well-being that comes from deep inside you. It is yours. It's right for you. And from there, when you make choices, or you learn, you discover how to make choices that are supportive of your physical and emotional and mental well-being. So when you come from the ground of well-being, you tap into the source of well-being and you make choices from there, they then affect your physical well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, and your spiritual well-being. They also, of course, affect your relationship well-being. You literally find yourself relating differently because you're relating from well-being. You're not relating from, you don't listen to me enough, I'm disappointed in you, I wish you were different, which is so easy to get into in relationships. And that could be personal relationships, could be your partner, could be your children, could be your parents, elderly parents who are very difficult to deal with. It can also be business colleagues, people who work for you, or people, your investors. It can be any relationship that's important for you. It's like the ease and the well-being comes into you, and the beauty of this is that you then radiate that well-being so other people start to taste it and experience it too. And as human beings, we're very attracted to well-being. We like the feeling of it. We can be afraid of it if we feel I'm not good enough to feel that good. I used to feel like that, and I met many people. It's like I'm afraid of enjoyment. I'm afraid of pleasure. I'm afraid of feeling good because I feel somehow like I don't deserve it, or that something bad will happen. Some of us have grown up in religions that make you feel that it's dangerous or taboo. But in our natural selves, we're very drawn to feel good. We long to feel good. We long for well-being. We long for that feeling of ease and peace within ourselves, and also capacity, the ability to rise to challenges and deal with challenges and face them. We love that kind of thing. And so for me, well-being is just part of our natural desire. It's part of the natural expression of being human. And what I tapped into, what I found on that day, and have continued to develop every single day since then. It was September 2023. So however long it is now, until you're watching this video, that's how long I've been working on it, because every single day I start with well-being. Whatever else I'm doing, well-being is always the foundation of my day. And little by little, it's changed my story, not only of how I see myself, but of how I see my place in life. This has been the thing that completely surprised me. As I started to explore the source codes of well-being, especially through running courses with people, and I saw them experiencing them as well, I discovered what I call a new origin story. I discovered my place in life, your place in life, the place of all the different parts of life. And it changed my personal experience in a very profound way. And one of the things that I discovered is parts of life that I had rejected or been very judgmental of. Let's say, for example, things that we think are wrong, just wrong, ways that people control and manipulate us that are wrong. They're not the right thing to do. I was very judgmental and very rejecting in many ways of those things. And I wanted to separate myself, like I'm a good person and that's bad. What happened in this story that kind of reworked itself through my being is that I started to understand that when there are bad things in my life, they call me to become a better person. And it wasn't like I've got to become a better person to fight the evil. It was coming from this place of well-being. It's like, I want to grow my well-being. I want to grow the well-being in the world. I want to make a contribution that is contributing to greater well-being. And I want to create wealth, not just for myself, but in my community. I want to share the well-being and create wealth so that we all benefit from it. That is the natural outcome of this kind of fundamental deep well-being, is that when we create wealth, we are naturally attracted to doing it from that place of well-being. And inevitably, what you want to do is share well-being, spread more well-being in the world in whatever way is right for you. And that will be unique to each of us because we each have our own gifts and our own contributions to make. So it had a very profound effect on my understanding of who I am in relation to life, and then how I do business. And I think for me it filled in a missing piece. I was already doing business. I was always already doing business. It was deeply aligned with my purpose. But how do I call it? I call it kind of like the warm strength rather than the cold strength. Just, that strength to master myself, that strength to face challenges, the strength to overcome challenges, the strength to keep on fighting for something I believe in. There's a certain coldness to it. It's like something you have to rally over and over again to stick in the discipline of doing business and doing life and staying as true as I can to my values and dealing with all the parts of myself that I don't like and that let me down, and the failures that happen all the time in business and in life. There's a way in which you can just kind of pull yourself together again and again and again. But this well-being creates what I would call a warm strength. It's like a strength that I can deepen into and that makes me stronger with a warmth to myself, so it feels good. I don't have to pull myself together. It's more like I can ease myself into a strength that feels enduring. If I want endurance, I see that if I discipline myself more and more in that hard strength, ultimately my endurance is going to become weakened. I can push it for quite a long time, but then it's going to weaken. It's like people who run a lot will tend to end up getting more and more injuries, or people, any kind of sport. But this warm strength feels like it's something that nourishes me, and the further I go with it, the stronger it gets. It doesn't get weaker, it gets stronger, but always with the warmth and the foundation and the root of well-being inside it and inside me. And so that becomes very attractive as a way of doing business, as a way of pursuing a mission or a purpose or something that you stand for, of growing anything, growing a business, growing a project, growing your life. Like if you can grow it with this beautiful well-being inside it, always able to access it. And look, we can forget. I forget. I can get caught up in my work and start getting into that old, very busy way, push myself too hard. But I do it less. And I do it less, not because I have to do it less, I have to take a break, but because I'm finding a better way. I'm finding a way that produces better results for me. Because so often we just have to, I just have to cut down and then cut down on my results. We don't want to do that. I want to get better business results. I want to be a better person inside. That lights me up, not I just need to cut back. I shouldn't be so hard on myself. Because there's another should in there, just it's a shouldn't. So well-being for me is a game changer because, of course, your well-being supports every bit of your life. It's not just about your well-being, it's about everything you do in life because it's about you. It sits right in the center of you. And so for me, this is what I call true well-being. This is a kind of well-being that supports all other forms of well-being. It's a kind of well-being that supports all our activities and our wishes and our desires in life and our missions and our projects and our purposes. And it supports our body, it supports our mind, it supports our emotions, it supports our spirit. It supports us, or it is us. In a way, it's like I am my well-being. And for me, this has been such a beautiful journey. And one of the most powerful things that I've discovered is the fact that it radiates. So when I share it with other people, it radiates to them. Not my well-being. I mean, my well-being does radiate, I could say, but what actually happens is it opens up to it opens them up to their well-being. And that is profound. So what I teach people when I teach the course Wellbeing, the source code that emerged out of all of this, I teach people how to not only experience this well-being, but how to talk about it and how to share it with others. Sometimes by talking about it, sometimes through silence, just through being it and getting on with life. And what I see, the feedback I hear, is that people's lives are changing because they bring well-being into every situation they face. And that can mean bringing it, I have somebody who brings it to all the investment situation. She's an investor. We could call her a professional investor if you like. And whenever she's working with the people who she's investing into, she brings this well-being not only to that person, but to unravel the difficult situations that they get into that impact their investors. I've seen business owners who then bring this well-being to their business, and then it unravels. It helps them to unravel all the problems that they need to solve, and it also helps them to bring this warm strength to the goals and the challenges that they've set for themselves. I've also seen people bring this well-being to their relationships and experience profound and almost immediate change in relationships, because they bring this warmth. They bring well-being to the relationship rather than all the usual demands and expectations. Their partner or their children or their parents, I've seen it in all these different cases, and very elderly people who can be very difficult. I've seen that there's a softening that comes, and relationships become kinder and more satisfying, and especially they bring you back to yourself. You find your own strength and your own self in that relationship, rather than being so dominated or caught up in the energy of the other person. So my invitation to you is to learn about well-being. If this speaks to you, if you feel like, oh yes, that's actually the well-being I've always been looking for, that's what I was looking for when I tried all of these different things, then my invitation is to come and experience it. The way I share that is through a course which is deeply experiential, that is called Wellbeing, the Source Code. And in that course, I literally teach you how to access the source codes, the 8 source codes that I mentioned a little bit earlier. I teach you how to speak your well-being, literally how to express yourself from that deep place of well-being, rather than the normal mental place where we tend to express ourselves. And then I teach you how to share well-being with each other in small groups. You have a session every week where you talk in small groups. I give you a topic to talk about that I know will work. And people have the most remarkable experiences in those groups because they feel so connected with the other people. It's like you create this beautiful radiance of well-being in your small group. And when you learn how to do these things, experience it for yourself, speak it from well-being, and then share it with each other, you have the foundation for growing your well-being for the rest of your life, bringing it into every aspect of your life, your health, your relationships, your business, your finances, and any other area of your life that is important for you. So if that's what you want, please sign up for Wellbeing, the Source Code. You'll find links and resources below. And I would love to share with you how this really works so that you can have your own deep experience of true well-being that you are able to grow.